So here's a mess I made earlier. Let me just quickly take you through the rig. You don't need to replicate this rig. This is just simply for ease and to demonstrate what you're possibly going to deal with. So potentially in your viewer, you might have a number of layers that have come up, and you want to extract the ones you want. So obviously, stock Nuke. You do a remove, you plug your remove in, and then you find your channels and you remove stuff. Let's say I wanted to only keep the light channels, so light 01, light 01, light 02. Oh wait, need another remove. So your friendly TD is probably have made something similar to this that I'm about to show you, or even better, have made a binary plugin compiled for your versions of Nuke, your version operating system Nuke, that allows you to do a regex layer removal thing. So it won't look exactly like this no-op, but kind of close. What I've got here is you hit the refresh button, it will tell you what channels are coming in down the line, and then it allows you to type in some garbage. Really, that is garbage. Hit calculate, and then it'll tell you what matched. So in this case, if I just type in the letter A, it's going to show that it would match the BW mat, the DI mat, the ID mat, NCAM, PCAM, etc. And with these, like if you were to wrap this into a tool, it would you'd expect that this would only give you these things back. So for example, as you'd see, if I just say I want something with the letters MATTE in it, it's going to give me the BW mat, the DI mat, and the ID mat. Right, so that's fairly handy. That's already I mean, this isn't a regular expression. Well, it is, but it's a pretty straightforward one. This is where we generally start. We just go for, okay, cool. Type in a word, get the thing, match, bonza. Nice and simple. But we can start doing more complex and more powerful things with regular expressions because we're really giving it a rule. Like that's kind of the way to look at this. It's similar to, honestly, this is basically keying for text. Right, when you key something, you put your image up there, you throw down your keyer, you use your primat, you use all these kind of techniques to isolate certain regions of the image which match the rules you put in. We do it visually. Regexes are the same concept, just with text. So let's look at the normals. So NCAM, great, we picked it. There's NWorld. By the way, if you get this thing, I'll provide source code and everything so you can play with it, but this is just text. So you can just type in stuff. You can also type garbage here and it will, you know, it will update. So let's just reset that. So we want NWorld, but what, now if we just put those in there, what we're saying is find the thing that it literally is called NWorld. But for us, we're likely thinking in terms of rules. We're saying, oh, well, the normals always start with the letter N. Okay, let's try that. N. Hey, we got NCAM and NWorld, but we also got position, because position, we just put the letter N here. We said we want to start with the letter N, but we just put in N. So like any language, there are rules, and one of the rules is that we need to tell it to start. So our first item on our little cheat sheet are what I call positional anchors. Basically, beginning and end is, you know, just like, there's literally all it is. So this caret here is the start of your text, and the dollar symbol is the end. Right. So let's rewrite this. We've said out loud we want to start, find the letter N, and that's good enough because that will get rid of position. So start N. Ta-da! We've removed the position pass because we don't actually care about it. We care about NCAM and NWorld. And this is this is an example of where the language becomes important. If you can phrase the problem in your head and describe it in clear kind of phrasing like this, it makes writing the regular expressions really easy. Decoding someone else's regular expression is like learning to read someone else's handwriting or looking at someone else's comp script. It takes a bit of time. Sometimes it's easier just to redo the whole thing, honestly. I'll deal with that possibly in another video about how you can write these things out. But we'll just, for a good form, do the end of text. Right? So I did actually say this in a very specific fashion. We need to read this this rule left to right. You can't, like I've said, I want to start with the letter N. All right. Now, if I took this and said I want to end with the letter, I don't know, end with the letter D, this doesn't work because the way I've set it is not how you read it left to right. You actually have to go, this is a placeholder for the end of line. So you actually need to do this. I'm looking for the letter D, and then I want the line to end straight after it. That's going to get me N world, P world, and these two color bleed things. So if we if we take this all the way, so I want to start with the letter N, and I'll introduce now. I don't care. Oops, one too many. So this here already looks like some form of weird Cyrillic or some other language that you may not recognize, but we should be able to decode this. We've said start, look for the letter N. These dots here are wildcard characters. In fact, let's put that on the list now. Wildcard. Literally whatever. So it's saying literally give me whatever, 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 the letter D, and then I want you to end the line there. All right, so this gives us N world because it's the only thing that matches that. So if we change it to N worlds with a capital Z, well, lowercase z, wouldn't match because it doesn't end with the letter D. Right? If we change it to world double D, it also doesn't match because I've said I want 4 and only 4 characters in the middle. In fact, that's actually a good jumping point to these things which we call quantifiers. So there's 3 of them. We'll start with the plus and we'll go from there. So this here is very clear in terms of we want N with 4 characters in between it, right? So we've explicitly gone dot, 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 give me 4 things, and nothing's come up. So let's make it appear. All right, so N world. So we can do these things with the plus symbol. So let's just change it to plus. So all these 3 refer to the thing before it. So wildcards. So we're saying N, give me whatever, and instead of going whatever, 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 we're just saying give me N, and if we put a plus, you can even see this has got even more alien looking, which is normal, don't worry. We've said start the line, look for the literal character N, look for whatever you want, doesn't matter, just anything you want, and then you have to consider these 2 together. The plus is saying that thing you just did, the way you looked for whatever, you want that 1 or more times. So 1 or infinity. So let's just see what it does. It's going to pick up N world. It's going to pick up N world. It's going to pick up as many because that's looking horrible. Because this here is saying, effectively what we've got here is a way to express it has to start with an N, it has to end with a D, and we literally do not care what's in between. So N world matches that. M cam, that also matches. It is starting with the letter N, ending with the letter D. So this is start with the letter N, get a D, and then finish. So find the letter D, finish, and in between, go nuts, find whatever you want. So the difference here between plus and star, so we'll actually we'll use let's just reset that. They just look ugly to me. Right, so N world is found here. So now let's just see what happens if I change it to ND. We have an ND layer for some reason. Right. See how that doesn't match? It's because the plus is 1 or more. So it's the previous thing has to exist. So it's got to have a character. So let's just change this to NANAD. That works because it's got a character in between. It doesn't care what the character is, but it does work. So let's now change this to the star symbol. That one there. All right. It's now picked up ND. Star is saying 0 or more. So it said, so with the star, we basically changed the rule to be start with the letter N, then do something. We'll get to that in a second. Get the letter D, stop, finish, no more characters. Any characters after invalidates this. In between, get me whatever, any character you can find, 0 or more times. So maybe you can't find anything. That's 0. That's cool. So that's why ND matches. But if you change it to a plus, that doesn't match. In fact, these are getting horribly ugly enough. Let me write them down here. So this stands for starts. How do I write this? So it's, I know how I'm going to do it. Equals. So let's do the anatomy here. So that is start line. Next one is N. Letter N. No, letter N. Dot. Whatevs. One or more of that thing above. D. Letter D. And the dollar. End of line. So here you can actually see this is how I write things out to make sure I'm not going completely insane half the time. The other half of the time I give up. I know I'm going crazy. But you can actually express a lot of regular expressions out like this so that you can actually tell what's going on. Because if you just saw that, you would never be able to read that, like not quickly. But if you said this one, starts with an N, ends with a D. All good. And this is, if you remember when we were looking at functions, this is why I implore you, put your docstring in, comment your function, because when you're tired and annoyed at 2 AM in the morning, that may make you less annoyed because you'll remember what you're doing. Like, you know, this is effectively me commenting the regular expression. So I'd be saying something like this as a memory jogger to myself, that if I need to modify some code at the last minute that's not working, what was I trying to achieve? Okay, cool. I know what I was trying to achieve. What did I actually do mechanically? Because if I did this, no, my key, sorry. There we go. If I did that, and I wrote that one, this still is true, but I might be saying, get me anything that starts with a D, ends with a D, and has a letter between them. This thing here is wrong. I'd probably be able to look at past Anthony and go, oh, you stuffed that one up. Here's the mistake. So this is how I'd actually honestly recommend writing stuff out. Just, it takes time to get to here. This is what you're trying to achieve. Do yourself a favor and write out the steps you took to get there. Otherwise you will go mad. So I'll put that bottom as a slide aside. So this is I guess introducing quantifiers. The question mark quantifier is 0 or 1. So let's do this here. Okay, let's see this. This is going to pick up N and NAD. And let's corrupt another one, ABD. It's not going to pick up NABD because the question mark is 0 or 1. So this has 0, this has 1, this has a lot more than 1 characters between. It's actually got 2. So that's, you'll see this question mark thing less, but you will see it in one very specific example quite a lot. Color and color. Right, so that's the way I spell color. That's the way that color is spelt in a lot of tools. That is how you pick it up. Because what we've done here is look for the letter C, look for the letter O, look for the letter L, O, look for the letter U, question mark. Wait a minute. Question mark means do something with the previous thing. All right, so these are all straightforward. We're looking for the letter U. You can have it 0 or 1 times. So obviously when you spell color, the U is present in in UK English. It's not present in US English. So that way, this example can get us both spellings of it, color and color. So that's a practical. That's probably where I've seen it most commonly, because otherwise I generally don't use that. The way I phrase my rules is slightly different. So the next thing to introduce, because this is starting to get a little bit dense, what will introduce? Okay, so we'll quickly go through the last two things, which will introduce horrible symbols: groups and classes. So they are slightly different. Groups are, well, they're like what they sound, groups. So let's reset this channel list, and I'm looking for these three. So first thing is I'm looking for the first one, the second one, or the third one. And instead of using the word or, I use the vertical bar. It's shift / on my keyboard. So you can see here it's got encam and world pcam. It's looking for any one of these three things. That's pretty straightforward as groups. So groups can also be more complex. So you can do things like this. So that I've replaced world with this weird thing. And remember, this is one or more. So we can just corrupt world and just go ND. So it's missing. It's because it's running this as a matching function. This is a matching function as this. So this is probably slightly dodgy what I've done here, but it sort of illustrates the points of groups. The other one you'll see is classes. Now classes feel similar. So I'll write something equivalent. Let's say we want to find anything that is using groups. Let's do the start with. So it starts with the letter A or the letter B or the letter C. Right, that's perfectly legit. So we've got these three up here. If you were to do a classes like this, it would still work, but it's working because everything here is treated as a single character. So it's by that I mean demonstrate actually. It's now picking up pref. Well, pref with this weird symbol in the front of it, because it's gone through and said, okay, from the first point of the square brackets, everything until the next point of the square brackets represents a class of characters. So basically find me any of these single characters. So let's look at the other thing that I did previously. So I did this, and I had reset channels, nworld, pcam, pref. All right. So it found these three things. If I replace this with a square bracket, you'll see instantly where it goes strange. It's got a completely different list of results. You'll notice the only thing that's matched are the single characters. D's, I's, not I's, D's, P's, N's, L's, and R's. Because this is just saying characters. Now, this doesn't seem all that useful initially, until we start seeing the shortcuts. I'm calling them shortcuts, they're not, they're character classes, but they're good enough. So going back to the nworld, encam, pref stuff, we might have just gone, we want n world, or we want, you know, nw, right now. So that isolates our normals for us. That's another way we could have done it. But our rule here says it's the letter N and then a capital W or a capital C. So if we said, let's say we had N pos, I don't know what that would be, or N, I don't know, N normalized. Let's actually type that in. So N normalized, right? It's not going to pick it up, even though we as humans know that that matches our rule of we want a capital letter. So we could type in that, which is stupid, or you can just do A to Z. So there you go. Like you can pick up characters. You can also do lowercase. Obviously, lowercase is not too exciting. You can also do numbers. So numbers, will use these lights as a demonstration. So light underscore. So we can look for light 0, 0. We can look for light with a number. So that's all of them. It's only got the first number, and you can say light with 2 numbers. And you can say with 3. There are no lights with 3-digit numbers. There is 1 light with 3-digit numbers. Right. There are other shorthands to make this even more thing. So to be like, I think it's I think this is one shorthand. I think. Can't remember. This is a form that I use less, but I do recognize it, and then I'll just consult a reference to know what I'm dealing with. Like this is the number of repetitions or something. So this is a plus, just to reinforce that one. It's 1 or more numbers. Star is 0 or more numbers. So if we had light like that, it would still match. Plus would not, because it needs a number behind it, and question mark would not would match everything because it either does or doesn't have a number. Like I said, question mark is confusing a lot of the time. So I guess what I'm going to probably do at this point is end this one. 21 minutes is a long time to be looking at this stuff, but regular expressions are a really important part of working with text. Fortunately or otherwise, they're quite powerful. They're useful, but they can be a bit intimidating. So yeah, let us know how you go with it. If there's appetite, I will do a bit more. I can also, if there's appetite, let me know. I can take you through how I built this and just some of the basic stuff on it. Although I'll just give you the code and you can snoop around, just as easy, I guess. Yeah, so talk to you guys later probably.